Hello everybody, Alphamir here, and today we are going to be getting into the year in review for 2023 for the Shadow over Morrowind storyline, and just basically, obviously, well, the whole year. So let's just dive right into it. So this year was a new format, and it introduced, it got away from the year-long stories. Now, I mean, this was both good and bad. It really needed to be done because there was just way too much content being pumped out and too much things that needed to be worked on. I will say that I do think that the year-long stories didn't get a fair shake because ever since 2020 and COVID and shutdown, and working from home, it really kind of screwed everything up from what we've gathered, what Zoss has told us in live streams or whatever, and just made things very hard on them to get things done that they wanted to get done, and extended things that shouldn't have been extended. And so I really think the year-long stories got kind of a raw deal. But from looking at it as a player and knowing what they've said in interviews and stuff, and um, you know, I know that they said around the time of like High Isle that they wanted to do a deep dive on each race before revisiting any other races. Now, that really wouldn't have worked out though, because at the time we knew that High Isle was coming, it was going to be Breton, so we knew that the last two races were going to be Bosmer and Redguard. So by announcing one, you're immediately giving away another. Let's say this year wasn't Necrom, right? Let's say this year was Bosmer. Well, then we automatically know what 2024 is going to be, right? So that's why it was kind of smart for them to get away from that, because it just didn't make sense. Um, so this year, like I said, it kind of started a new format. I don't really know how long this format's going to be going. It's not a bad format. Um, I'm assuming that this format will go until a lot of the major issues that are in the game are gone. However long that takes, who knows? You know, um, but this year started with the Scribes of Fate DLC, which I guess I should, before I get too far here, I should describe what the new format is. The new format is a dungeon in quarter one. Quarter two is the chapter. Quarter three is just quality of life, bug fixes, things like that. And this year, it was a base game update, so it was free for everyone. And then quarter four is like a system update. Just for this year, it's some system changes with guilds, with the daily guilds, and then endless archive, but also jewelry crafting rebalance. But this was also free to everybody, from what I can. It just came out. I'm about to say, from what I can remember, um, poor research, Althmere, bad Althmere. But so quarter one was Scribes of Fate. It was a dungeon. Nothing of spectacular there. I mean, I love Hermaeus Mora. It's pretty much the only reason why I bought the chapter. Um, it did introduce 3 new PvP sets, which, nothing to be blown away by or anything like that. They're fun, they're unique, but I mean, they're not really. Well, maybe they are meta. I don't know. I kind of go against meta in PvP. I go with whatever's fun, which isn't something everyone does. But I mean, they're not bad sets. It's just nothing to be blown away by. Now quarter two obviously was the chapter, and it gave us the Arcanist. Um, let's start with Arcanist. Now, Arcanist was, if I remember to put the link in the video below, in the description below, which it's 50-50 shot there. Um, you know, Arcanist isn't a bad class. I think that it is probably the one of the most balanced classes that's come out of a new chapter since they started, with Warden Necromancer. Um, because Arcanist has strong abilities, right? Like you see right there on my screen, exhausting Fate Carver, right? Or just Fate Carver. And that's a very strong ability. But there it is, right? But that's the word you're going to hear a lot with Arcanist. This ability, like Fate Carver is really strong, but it needs to have everything lined up. People gotta players if it's a PvP, players gotta be stupid enough to stand there because it has to be aimed, which means it's very, very dodgeable, right? And a lot of people are freaking out over the statement that it is quote unquote you cannot interrupt it, but I think that that's actually extremely literal. Um, you know how tanks and anybody can just go up to somebody and bash them and interrupt them? I think that's what they mean. Now, there's tons of people going, no shit. But there actually are a lot of people who are saying, you can't do anything while they're in the beam. That's not fair. That's not fair. That's overpowered. While they're beaming, you can't interrupt them. You can't do anything to them. Haha, no, you can't. You can't walk up to them and bash them to interrupt them. But you can knock them back with javelin or, um, any knockback. You can you can fossilize them. You can blow them up in the air with meteor or whatever. I mean, the wrecking blow knockback. I mean, you there's so many different things that you can do to them while they're beaming, so they're not immune. It just means you can't run up and bash them. So that's just another but, and like even that stun that they have, that charm, it is a really good stun, but what makes it really much a humongous pain in the ass is the skill delay and the lag in Cyrodiil, not the actual ability. So, everything's a but. Like their ultimate, the Watch Your Eye, really strong ability. But again, it has to be aimed, extremely dodgeable, like insanely dodgeable. So you really need to line up your stuns, your removables. The only thing I can say that Arcanist really needs work on, is the Gibbering Shield, which they seem to be working on now. But it's a pretty balanced class. It's really strong in PvE. It's strong in PvP, but things need to be lined up. Like even now, the meta with the dual wield and Natashron and blah blah blah. That's more the sets than Arcanist, you know. So I really enjoy that about the Arcanist because Necromancer. I don't care what anybody says. Necromancer was far from overpowered when it first hit, which in Warden stamina, Warden was really, really strong when it first hit. Only because if there's any sort of issues with the class abilities for damage, stamina has an easier time replacing that than Magicka. So that's why stamina is always usually just a little stronger. Um, and obviously we had the Himaeus Mora Realm of Apocrypha. Absolutely amazing. I really liked it. A lot of nostalgia there. And again, I didn't even buy as much as people say, oh, Arcanist, was a major selling point. Not for me. Like, yeah, I mean, it became a fun class for me, sure. But I definitely didn't go in there, like, liking the class. I go in there because Hermaeus Mora. I love Hermaeus Mora. So, and there's going to be spoilers, by the way. And unlike my Necrom review, this actually will be spoilers. So keep that in mind. But, I mean, this came out in June. If you don't want to know any of the story, then you can skip along, skip the rest of my talking about the chapter for this part of the video and move on to the next section. Hopefully I don't slip up in another section, but I can't promise that, so deal with it. I don't know. All right, so I loved the lore bomb. That was crazy, and you don't really know which way it's gonna go, but you also do at the same time. I mean, I love that they, made a story where it's like Hermaeus Mora erased people's memories of another Daedric prince. That's crazy. And you know what? It fits with lore. It fits with lore. It fits of the times. Because I assume that this is kind of around the time of the Dawn era where it was just nuts. You got Ariel and Trinimac killing, quote unquote, as much as you can, I guess. Dismantling? That's kind of creepy. Getting rid of Lorcan, and shooting his heart into a area that created a mountain. Jegleg got turned into Sheogorath because the Daedric princes were afraid of his power. And it's just, it fits. So much crazy crap was going on back then, and it just fits. And I thought it was a really great addition, and I really just can't wait, because what you got to remember is this is a multi-year story arc. So unfortunately, if you're hoping next year won't be tied to any sort of Daedra, well, you're immediately wrong unless they pause the story, because it's only presumed that 2024 is going to conclude or continue this Hermaeus story, Athelia, Daedric Prince kind of story. I hope it does. We'll have to see. Chapter also introduced a new world event that was kind of aimed towards people clamoring for difficult content. Bastion Mimics. I don't really know how I feel about them. If you want difficult content and you enjoy Bastion Mimics, awesome. I think that's awesome for you. I just don't think they're very repeatable. I think once people lose the luster of the chapter, once the new year starts, the new chapter drops next year, Bastion Mimics will be a thing of the past. Of course, we also got new companions. That's going to be a thing that's probably going to come out every single chapter. And Tales of Tribute, which, and chapter was really good. It was, in my opinion, it was probably one of the better chapters. I mean, my top 3 chapters, if you can count my second one as a chapter, I guess, but my top 3 chapters are Elsewhere, or Orsinium, and Necrom. I really did, because it was so, it was very well done, Now on to Update 39. Update 39 was, again, new format, and got into big bug fixes and quality of life, and it was free. And I think it was exactly what the game needed. It didn't blow me away, but it was exactly what we needed. There were some bug fixes that were years and years and years in the waiting. And I actually hope that the Update 39 part stays, because there are still tons of things wrong with the game that need fixing, that need looked at. And this kind of feature, this one DLC sacrifice for the greater good of the game, I think just only helps it, and helps its longevity. There wasn't anything spectacular about Update 39, but there was a bunch of awesome things that just, it's like, you take a breath and you're like, finally, finally they did that. Finally they got to that, Now then, of course, we got Update 40, which I'm mixed about. I'm mixed about Update 40. And I think Endless Archive was a miss. just for me personally, and for people who are kind of like me, where you don't really have a ton of time. It's like a lot of us, some people in the game are kind of punished for having busy lives, and that's fine. I'm not complaining. There's plenty of parts of the game where I can have my fun, and I'm perfectly cool with it. And the Sucker is just not one of them for me. I love the Julia rebalance. Should have been there from the start. I love the new rewards for mages, fighters, and undaunted, and pretty much a lot of the stuff like that that came with 39. I really liked it. I also liked that this whole year. I love the change because what it did is it addressed a problem, something that had becoming a fairly big problem in ESO, which is sets. There's so many sets in this game, and what I was hoping with update 39 and 40 is that those would just be small things, no sets. So the only times we would get sets are quarter one and quarter two. I think that's exactly what we need, because there's so many sets that people don't use in this game. Now, whether those sets are viable or whatever, I could sit here and argue with you all day about that. That's not what this video is about. But there are plenty of sets in this game that people just don't use. And I think that that's a problem. Because the sets are, you need to work on the sets that people don't already use before introducing new ones. So I was a little disappointed in that yes, the change in the year-long story meant less sets. Good, but we still got sets. Like the new monster sets that you can buy from the vendor in Cyrodiil. You have the new PvP sets. You have the sets in the dungeon, the typical overland, and sets that drop in the chapter, and the new class sets, which are kind of eh. It's like, do we really need those? Like, do you? You don't. You just don't. Work on the sets and that's what I'm kind of hoping with the 10-year, which, that definitely won't happen, but I can hope that the 10-year anniversary will focus on just changing and making those older sets maybe a little bit more popular, or at least viable in a lot of other people's eyes. I think most of the sets are fine, but if you make it so that now people have a choice, like, oh, you can wear this, you can wear that, you can wear this, and it just makes things I think a lot better, a lot more fun, a lot easier. I think that will only help you, because you'll always have that, like, divide, I guess, where if you're gonna do harder content, like trials, like 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 hard mode and trifectas, blah blah blah. But those, yeah, you have to wear kind of like the meta sets to get the top end DPS to get. I understand that perfectly fine. But if you can get those other sets, I think that only benefits the game. You know, because yeah, they won't be used for trials, but trials people already have their sets. What if there were more choices for dungeons? So overall, I give the 2023 year, the first in this new format, a scale 1 to 10, probably like a solid 6.5. It'd be a lot higher, but, there were lack of communication issues. Um, you know, as an example, for those who are unaware, about like a week after Necrom dropped, Arcanists were changed in a patch, and it really wasn't explained what happened. Like, the patch notes did not explain what in the world happened, because Crux was changed in a way where you had to continually generate it in order to keep it. If you didn't generate Crux, After 30 seconds, you would lose your Crocs. And that happened after they changed that after Necron dropped, and it was like 5 or 6 days, about a week, and it took ZeniMax forever to respond to these on the forums, like forever. And and that was the theme following High Isle, which was just lack of communication, lack of talking, they started this silence protocol. It was the infamous thing where Gina had to ask the stream team what was wrong with. They were like, and it's like, how do you not know? I mean, and the same thing happened with the whole Arcanist thing. They were like, we have to contact the combat team to see what happened there. It's like, how do you not know? So yeah, that was a little frustrating. They are working on it. They are changing. Kevin, who forums moderator guy, I don't know his title or anything, but he's been showing up on the forums more, communicating more, and I think that's only really benefited them. I think this is the point in the video where I'm attempting to explain what I'm wearing. I'm wearing Wrath of Crows. It's a polymorph that drops in, I believe, I don't remember what crown crates they were, but they were in the Truth and Logic staff, which also drops. It dropped in a bundle. It was a weapons bundle that was available a while back. But anyway, there's definitely not going to, definitely not going to be anything perfection wise here. Like, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to have issues, but, between the lack of communication, which is improving, and I applaud them for that. Thank you. Keep it up. But there's still a lot of things that they're just ignoring, like Necromancer. Like, this is a class that, has been continually nerfed since 2019. Some rightfully so, some not. I mean, they didn't need to nerf Grave Robber after they nerfed the Harmony trait. The change with how you get major vulnerability needed to happen, but now that you can get that from other places, it kind of, it kind of also changes the power of Necromancer. So there's been nothing happening. You saw even in the patch notes, and yeah, the abilities, the summons, they work in PvE, but that's only because NPCs are morons. They're just as stupid as the pet. So, but and Zos hasn't talked about what's happening with them, why they're ignoring them. It's weird. And they're also kind of silent on the PvP re-architecture, code rewrite, whatever you want to call it. Like, when they first introduced that in 2022, you kind of knew that this was going to be a big undertaking. I mean, there's a lot of code in the game. So we all kind of understood. I mean, I understood. I was like, okay, well, damn, that's going to take them a few years. But I thought that they would update us along the way, if that makes any sense. And they're just not. It's weird. So that's going to kind of stained 2023 a little bit, which brought the, score down to like a 6.5. Because they are starting to improve. It's definitely better than the High Isle year, but it's like, okay, what's going on with some of these big things? I understand you can't communicate like all 300 problems. Don't want you to. Perfectly fine. But some of the big ones that are talked about on the forums and on Reddit, and you get DMs about, and messages on Twitter and live streams. Talk about those. If you see something being repeatedly mentioned, you probably should make a point to update people on it from time to time. Just saying. So that kind of took their score down a little bit, but they're improving it. So we'll have to see what 2024 brings. I'm not going to talk about the data mine for 2024, but it's sort of, I wouldn't say confirmed, but it's a pretty, like, when it comes to this, I don't think people have been wrong too many times, but it does seem like we are going to a very particular place. I'm not going to spoil it, so don't worry about that, but I'm not excited about it. This race that's going to be focused on is kind of everywhere in the game, and it's kind of, I'm just not a huge fan, but I'm excited about the other stuff. I'm excited to see where they're going to take Termaeus Moore's storyline. I'm excited to see, what else are we going to get. This is going to be a bigger year, so I'm hoping it's going to be a bigger year and not just another chapter. Like, I really, really hope. And so we'll have to see. I'm kind of excited about 2024. Even though the chapter's not going to be going to an area that I really enjoy. But that doesn't really matter. There's other shit. So I really hope. So that's really it for 2023. Again, 6.5. It's not bad. Not bad. Not bad of a year. Kind of ending on a good note. If I had done this video like probably a month ago, it probably would have been a lot lower because that's when all the communication issues are happening and all the questions were getting ignored, and yeah, it was bad. But they've really improved that, so applaud them for that. Anyway, that's idiot. That's idiot. That's an idiot over there. He's dressed like a crow on the screen. That's it for this video, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you're enjoying it in this archive if you actually do enjoy it. I don't, but that doesn't mean I can't hope to other people and be glad for other people that they are enjoying content. So I really do hope you enjoyed it. What did you think of 2023? What is your score, scale 1 to 10? Let me know, because I'd be curious. And enjoy the Witches Festival. Really, it's a lot of fun. It's probably one of my more favorite events. I don't even know the name of my favorite event. How bad is that? Because it's so similar to another event. The one I love is the one where you get boxes from doing dailies, because I log in, I do my crafting writs, I do my daily world boss, devil boss from chapter zones, and oh god, it's just so much fun. I'm also glad that I turned this video into a rant video, because right here I am currently educating you on how bad the Rift and Eastmarch are. Because every time I go there, I just have to let you know just how poorly I think Sauce did these zones. So be glad you missed that, because it's a rant and a half. So anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Really appreciate it. If you don't want to, that's fine too. I'm not going to hold it against you. And I will see you in the next one.